Hello, good afternoon. Oh, sorry, it's actually still morning. It's 11:30. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're all having a fantastic morning so far. So the guys, for those of you, shall we say, that were just in the chat, then you'll see that my computer just had a little bit of a meltdown, and my Stream Deck just didn't decide to work. So as I'm pressing buttons, thinking, why the bloody hell isn't this working? Everything just started to kick off all at once. I was running an app on my PC to try and clear a load of stuff off it that I didn't need anymore, which was obviously just slowing the PC down. I was dropping frames, said encoding overload and all of that stuff. I've now stopped that program, so now we can stream without the threat of nothing working again. So yeah, for you, those of you that are getting nice and early, you get to see the countdown, the infomercial, obviously the show titles running and stuff like that. You do get a very different show than you guys that are obviously listening to this on demand services, where you get it all in a nice little neat package, semi-professional, not quite as botched as it would be if you're watching the live show, like JMK's doing, like 12's doing in the chat, like Chapper's nice and early this morning, as well as the shagger that is Tito, and Plum Rico's just joined in as well. So yeah, you guys obviously get a completely different show than what the guys over listening to us on podcast services like Amazon, like Google, like Spotify, as well as I'm fairly certain there's an iTunes in there, as well as YouTube and on Twitch after the show's finished as well. So thank you very much for all of you guys that have joined us today, whether or not you're walking the dog, whether or not you're in the gym, whether or not you are cooking up a nice stir fry. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a nice half an hour, 40 minutes worth of a video game podcast this morning. So Chapper says, so I hear Masters of the League, yeah? Or maybe something similar on FIFA instead. Now, there has been a lot of discussion with me and Graham about bringing back a series like that. For those of you that are fairly new around here, maybe in the last 18 months, 2 years, about 3.5-4 years ago, obviously during the height of COVID, where we couldn't be in the studio using all the green screen action and stuff like that, we created it was back then PES series in Master League, where myself and Graham would be managers of Ice Cream Uploads. We had our green screens behind us. We played the game through my PC using Parsec and having all of these different combinations of mods and things like that, so we're able to play in the Premier League with all the overlays, all of the stadiums, all of the kits, all the transfers at the time. Basically try to make it look like a proper broadcast, and it was possibly one of the hardest things to be able to pull together, but one of the most enjoyable things I think we've ever done in terms of content on this channel. It was something that I'm extremely proud of. It was just a lot of work for the time. We had obviously a lot more time back then to be able to do stuff. So yeah, we have thought about doing one-off series and stuff like that, maybe 6 episodes, where it might not necessarily be live content. It might be something that we're able to film over 3 or 4 days and then be able to stagger it out in like 5 or 6 episodes, or just have it live and then maybe do a cup run or something like that. We haven't nailed down the specifics, but something like that is definitely on our radar. It's just whether or not we have the time to be able to get it. My personal preference would be to get it recorded over like 3 or 4 days and then just spend like 3 weeks editing it down, editing it together, because once you have all the footage in front of you, you think, actually, we could record something else that would be nice filler there. When it's live, it's not quite as straightforward. Like, there was a lot of technical issues as we're doing it live, like some stadiums didn't work and the lighting goes all a bit funny and the overlays just stop you from being able to play, or some of the stadiums, for instance, was the camera was that high that it the stop of the stadiums was clipping into it. I think Carrow Road was one of them, as well as Brighton Stadium. The roof of the stadium kept on clipping in front of the camera, so when players reached certain parts of the pitch, it was like restricted view. You couldn't see anything that was going on. So yeah, if we record something, it's just we know our YouTube stuff doesn't do that well, so it would feel like a hell of a lot of effort to go to something that we can't have. I don't want to say return on investment, because that's not what the purpose of why we would do it. We would do it just to be able to finesse our editing skills, presenting skills, being able to put a load of effort into creating a lovely piece of content that maybe we can use for some kind of portfolio work or something like that. Because obviously us as Ice Cream Uploads is a segment of what Jelly Media can offer, which is sometimes why you don't get the scoop every single day, because obviously we have client work to be getting on with as well. So yeah, I feel like having a recorded segment of it might be the way forward, but it's just all up in the air. I would love to be able to do that kind of stuff again. I know Graham is extremely keen on getting that kind of content out again. We just need to peel him away from PUBG, that's all. All the stuff that I've just said about being in the way, none of that is true. It's all Graham and managing to pull him away from playing PUBG. But you aren't here for me to talk about Masters of the League. Chappers has sent me on a massive tangent. The real reason you're here is to listen to me talk about video game news, and that's exactly what I'm going to bring to you today. If you are here for the first time, please feel free to follow this channel. If you are listening to this on podcast services, please do give it 5 stars, rate it whatever the highest is available on there. Do follow us on those as well. We would very much appreciate it, because we have over about 170, maybe 175,000 of you guys now that have listened to this podcast since its inception about 3.5-4 years ago. So again, extremely grateful, myself and Graham, to you guys that have stuck with us all this time to get your daily dose of video game news. So jumping back through the chat then before we move on, JMK says he broke it. Yes, I did. The program stopped now, so hopefully it won't overload my PC, because apparently it can't delete stuff and stream at the same time. Gagat says, having a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, that's standard. Chapper says, oh dear. Fucking Moth says 12. He's in here as well. Chapper says, good lord, there's about 50 sounds over it. Yeah, that is definitely not my voice. Reboot the mainframe. Plum Rico says, good morning, chat. Reboot, baby. We don't need to do any of that. Don't worry about it. Just like watching QPR at Loftus Road. Very realistic. Pull G away from PUBG. Good luck with that, says JMK. Absolutely. Player unknown's Battle Graham. His name is even in the game. Yeah, so we all know by now that it's extremely difficult for Graham to be able to, well, appeal him away. I don't doubt that he's took his PlayStation backbone to be able to log in and do his dailies while he's over in New York using the Wi-Fi. Like, Danielle's gone to bed. He's like, do you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm going to stay up a little bit longer, bash out a few dailies on PUBG, just to be able to keep that kind XP ticking over while he's away. I don't doubt that is the case. So I suppose we'll have to wait and see when he does arrive back next week. But yeah, I think we've rambled on too long now. I think we should probably get in to the first news story of today. Now, again, I'm not saying that I've been reaching with the title of this episode. So if you're seeing the title of me saying that Microsoft finally kills off Activision Blizzard dream of being on PlayStation, that is still very, very, very relatable in this instance. Like, we're not moved too far away from ClickBib on that one. But that is going to be our lead story of today, with also some news of a Nintendo Direct that's taking place tonight. Pretty much just told you the entire story with that. Electronic Arts is restructuring its studio into 2 different organizations. I'm fairly certain you know where we're going with this one. And finally, to finish, we've also got some pretty embarrassing news from the PlayStation side of things, in forms of someone creating a petition to make Starfield a PlayStation exclusive. Something that went around 2 days ago. Something that's just batshit crazy, and I can't wait to laugh at that one a little bit later on. But first, getting into our first story of today. We've got a raid in here as well. Janky93, thank you very much for the raid. Very much appreciate that. Welcome in. You're just joining us for our first news article of the day. So, player lawsuit claims to have evidence Microsoft Activision bid is designed to eliminate PlayStation. Again, I told you it wasn't that much of a reach when it comes to creating the news article title of today. But written by Andy Robinson over at VGC, he goes on to say that the plaintiffs in a customer lawsuit seeking to block Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal have come with evidence that Xbox maker had the intention to put PlayStation out of the market. The private antitrust action, which is brought by 10 video game players in the US, argued that a $69 billion deal could substantially lessen its competitors and create a monopoly in violation of the Clayton Act. The lawsuit was initially dismissed in March after a district judge, Jacqueline Scott Corley, found that it failed to present sufficient evidence to support their claims. Now, there has been a little update in here. I'm going to read the article in full first, and then we'll go back to the update. Yes? Yes. However, the plaintiffs later filed an amended lawsuit containing redacted information from Microsoft, including a strategy memo and new information provided by Sony Interactive Entertainment. As spotted by Axis, a key piece of plaintiffs' evidence is alleged to be an internal email that they said was sent by Microsoft's head of game studios, Matt Booty, to Microsoft's chief financial officer for Xbox, Tim Stewart. I don't know what that word. The purported internal Microsoft email is described as an uncontroverted evidence that Microsoft had the intention to put its main competition, the Sony PlayStation, out of market. The passage is said to be from Exhibition K. One of those sealed documents is the opposition lawyers have been debating. In legal documents, Microsoft described the emails as an internal exchange that should remain sealed and is claimed has no bearing on the court's decisions. The lawsuit is separate from Microsoft's defense against the Federal Trade Commission, which is currently seeking preliminary injunction to block the Xbox maker from acquiring Activision Blizzard. On Tuesday, Microsoft and the FTC shared their witness list for an evidentiary hearing set to begin this week, including Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. We'll go with that. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, Bethesda's publishing Pete Hines, and Activision CEO Bobby Kotick. So moving up then to the update, Microsoft has issued an update claiming that the contents of the email are from 2019 before its offer of Activision Blizzard. So as you can see here, the tweet goes on to say, an update from a rep shares a significant update to this. While they can't divulge into the contents of the email, they are able to now say that it was sent in 2019. That means that whatever anti-PlayStation sentiment strategy it may contain precede the Microsoft offer for Activision. So then, Tito says, for your information, petition for Starfield to be PlayStation exclusive is now up to 2,755 signatures. Highly embarrassing. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Purported means supposedly. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much, Tito, for clearing that up, because again, English defeats me at every single opportunity. But in terms of this news article then for today, obviously Xbox want to be able to try and succeed at their highest point. They want to retake the number one spot in video games, and it will come against PlayStation and also Nintendo in forms of home consoles, not in forms of obviously PC and what they've got going on over there, but in terms of home consoles, obviously Xbox want to be the number one. Now, I have no objections to the way that they're going about it in terms of creating a monopoly. If they have the money to be able to spend on stuff like this, I cannot sit here as a Manchester City fan and say and be super hypocritical about the way that they're going with this. I do believe that them having it as a first party might monopolize the way that we play video games in terms of what Activision and Blizzard are able to produce in forms of Goliath games across the globe. They've already have Bethesda now as well, don't forget, which again offers some of the biggest IPs that are on the market in this day and age. So Xbox having those as well is obviously a slam dunk for them. If they have the money to be able to spend on it, that's their prerogative. Now, obviously, PlayStation have their backs against the wall when it comes to this in forms of the likes of Call of Duty, which is obviously a massive money spinner over on all of the consoles. Now, if Xbox obviously have this, they take away the opportunity for PlayStation to own Call of Duty on their platform. I use the term own quite loosely because them having the ability to be able to play Call of Duty on a PlayStation console is obviously part of a third-party game, so it's not necessarily that either of them own it. It's just they're technically leasing a license to be able to bring that game to their console. So they might have the opportunity to just keep that, them being Xbox, and then not have to bother with anything that PlayStation have to be there to put out with. I don't believe that will be the case. I also don't believe that will be the case when it comes to Bethesda games later down the line. So they may have 12-month exclusivity over the likes of the Elder Scrolls franchise when eventually they bring a new one out, the likes of Doom, and obviously they end up bringing a new one out of those because Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal kicked some fucking ass. So there's obviously going to be a third one in that. I'm not going to say trilogy because they continue to be making them. They've been making them for 30 years at this point. So that's besides the point. Maybe a new Prey game. So they've got a lot of ammo in their locker to be able to potentially just make these first-party games. I don't believe that's going to be the case. I believe that they have the option there to be able to make as much money, because PlayStation will obviously now have to pay Xbox to bring that those franchises over to their domain to be able to sell. And I think from Xbox's perspective, them selling consoles isn't making them money. And I don't think that's the wrong thing to say. I don't believe that is a controversial statement. I don't believe them selling consoles is making them money. The games that they're putting out there obviously isn't making them as much, because obviously Redfall bombed on release. They've obviously got Halo knocking around in the background. Forza's obviously still continuing to do reasonably well. We haven't seen a Gears of War game in forever. So they have the ability to be able to make a lot of money, but with these franchises, they're going to make it hand over fist. So PlayStation coming in and saying, we're going to buy or rent that IP from you guys to be able to bring over to the console. I believe that is the best way forward for Xbox. Them owning the games and taking all of the money, especially from their competitors like Nintendo, like bringing it over onto Steam later down the line, or Epic Game Store, and then obviously renting that out, the licenses over to PlayStation for them to be able to distribute games on their side. They're getting money hand over fist at this point. So I believe that is their long play, having the monopoly board and taking over one side of it to be able to take as much money as possible when the people keep on coming round the board. I feel like that is their end goal. That is their play. Them selling consoles isn't their main objective. Owning the biggest IPs and biggest companies probably is, because then they can sell a subscription to you guys and say, do you want to be able to play this game over on your mobile phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your TV, because you've got Game Pass built into it now, over your Fire Stick, your Chromecast, whatever it is, they want to be able to sell you a service where you can play games wherever you want. And I believe that is their long-term goal. I could be completely off with that. It might become a point where, was it the Microsoft Showcase in 2020 or 2021? There was a very small, what looked like a Microsoft Series S, but like a stick, like a Fire Stick that was just on one of the shelves in the background. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if you was be able to buy like a Stadia bundle way back when. Does anyone remember Stadia? I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago since that came and went. But Stadia came with obviously a Chromecast, an Ultra 4K Chromecast, as well as, I'm going to go on record as saying this, one of the greatest controllers that there has been in maybe the last 20 years. It's fantastic control, perfectly weighted, buttons were amazing, analog sticks were fantastic. It was the all-round fantastic controller. I believe that they will end up wanting to sell those kinds of things, so you can buy the cloud. The Xbox Series Cloud, we'll call it for the sake of this, where you get the dongle, you get a new controller, and you're able to play games wherever you want in your house, and you're able to stream them over xCloud or whatever it is that they want to call it these days. I believe that is their end goal. I believe that is something that will come true in the next couple of years, and I don't blame them for that, because they've obviously lost the footing when it comes to first-party games and selling consoles. At this moment in time, they're probably in third place. Nintendo is killing it and have been in the background. People don't bring them into the conversation because they think the home console is obviously just PlayStation and Xbox from a top level, but Nintendo have been killing it for years. They're in this race, and I believe that they have been in second place for the longest time. Xbox are in third, my personal opinion. However, they have so much going for them, and I believe in the coming years that they will propel themselves to be a completely different Xbox than what they are now. Whether or not that's because of the franchises that they own, whether or not it's because they have the hardware to be able to push next to nothing, so they could sell you a console for £100, but they know that an Xbox Game Pass subscription, you're going to be locked in for the next 5 years, because obviously that's one way of being able to play their largest catalogue of games. I believe that is the case in my personal perspective from it, looking from the outside. But I want to know your guys. Well, Madge, thank you very much for the subscription there as well. Very much appreciate that. And he's coming in saying, Xbox rules in third place. JK says, damn, Xbox is trying to eliminate the competition. How dare they? Chapper says, big numbers to them. Leeds would have signed more. Tito says, Mancunian is your first language. English is hard. I absolutely agree. If I could speak like I normally speak to my friends, to the wife, to my son, obviously, then this podcast will be completely different. I do have to think about what it is that's going to be coming out of my mouth before I end up saying it, because of the words that I would tend to use. A lot of slang, the way that I speak, probably drop words out of sentences and things like that, and obviously including a hell of a lot more swearing as well. So I try and keep it as PG as I can for you guys, so that this is not necessarily a family-friendly show, but definitely one that I would be happy to be able to say, Grandad, do you want to know what's happening in the latest video games world? Here you go, listen to me waffle on. Jay says most of them signatures are only there so people can comment on the petition and laugh at it, pretty much. Tina says, but that in itself is idiotic, confirmed. And they're obviously talking about the PlayStation Starfield stuff later down the line. They should put a petition for all Xbox games to stop being PlayStation exclusives. Just looking for one is crazy. The the stream box ID wasn't economically viable at the moment. I've got a 564K Max now, might give Luna a go. I have one of those. I also have Luna built into my TV as well, and I've not given it a go yet. I do have Nvidia GeForce on my TV as well, logged in with all of my accounts. I've just not really given it a go. I've got enough controllers in the house for it to be a viable option. I've just not really done that. I much prefer to stream stuff on my tablet or on my laptop or something like that. So I've been using a lot of remote play on my laptop, so I'm able to play PlayStation 5 games downstairs, Xbox Game Pass stuff over xCloud and stuff. My internet is more than good enough in the house to be able to do that, so I'm having a good time. No latency issues or anything, so I imagine playing that stuff on Luna probably would be good. The lack of achievements and stuff like that on Luna is probably the thing that's turning me off of playing those things, because I'm not necessarily one for trophy collecting or games racking up gamer score. That isn't kind of my bag when it comes to playing video games. However, I would miss it if I didn't have it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm playing on Nintendo consoles, they don't have that service, so it's a little bit more. It's a little bit. Do I really want to complete a game on this platform and I can complete it and get something else at the end of it? But yeah. Luna might be able to tie stuff like that in. I mean, I probably would just play it to play Fortnite, right? Because that's available on there right now, as well as Resident Evil 2 and something else as well, which I thought was. It definitely piqued me interest in giving that a go. Chapper says, speaking of controllers, does anyone know where I can find a Logitech controller for scientific expeditions and like in my homemade submarine? Samantha actually sent me that this morning because I had no idea that was the case where they're using the submarines, that controller for the submarine. Like, whose idea was that? But anyway, Nietzsche says Xbox in the mud. You heard it here first, says Nietzsche. At this moment in time, I can't actually get Game Pass to work on my bloody PC. Like, since I've done like 5 or 6 updates on my PC, Windows updates recently, and that's the only thing that's not working. So I uninstalled it and now it won't reinstall. I've got an error code. I type in the error code, follow all the steps, and it still can't get it to play. So at this moment in time, my PC and Xbox is mudded. I cannot play Game Pass games on my PC. Don't understand why. I've not got Windows 11, by the way. I'm still on Windows 10. When are we PGAing, baby? That's a very good question. Am I going to play games tonight? No, because I'm in the office tomorrow. So maybe Friday night. We'll be able to play some PGA something. Most certainly on Sunday, but you spend the day with the missus, so that's probably out the window. But Friday seems viable because I'm at football tomorrow night. But anyway, enough about my life and when playing golf. We've got some more news. In fact, let's have a look at this. We've already talked about PlayStation news. Let's have some more PlayStation news and have a laugh at this. So this then is written on The Gamer by RHIANNON, and she says, sorry, I just burped. Apologies. Hundreds of PlayStation fans signed petition to make Starfield a PlayStation 5 exclusive. I feel like this is very apt. I feel like this is a very apt picture that's in the middle there. We don't need to send me newsletters. We know for a while that Starfield will be an Xbox console exclusive, skipping PlayStation. It will also launch on PC, but if anyone sticks to playing on consoles, there's only one choice of platform, and this is pretty surprising that Xbox owns Bethesda after all. So why wouldn't this nab an exclusive to complete with Sony's impressive first-party lineup? Some PlayStation enthusiasts, however, are struggling to come to terms with the news. In fact, a whole bunch of them have mobilized to sign a petition to try and compel Bethesda to launch Starfield exclusively on PlayStation. With just a few months to go until Starfield's launch, some console warriors are under the impression that it's not too late for the studio to make such a sweeping change, as the petition is approaching 1,000 signatures. Obviously, since then, Tito has come in and said that it has over 2,700 signatures at this moment in time. But the best part of this, that the petition was also definitely set up by a troll, likely to be an Xbox fan making fun of PlayStation enthusiasts. Either that or someone is dunking on the entire console wars concept, as we all should. To be honest, of course, that it hasn't stopped it from reaching almost 1,000 signatures. So let's just point and laugh at some of these lines of the petition for that of people that are signing. And this is, I imagine this is obviously being put onto the petition. For over a decade, Bethesda games have been released on PlayStation, reads the petition. They perform better on PlayStation, run better, and sell better, while Xbox and specifically Phil Spencer have no business taking them away. Xbox and its 12 dedicated players do not deserve Starfield or any exclusivity. Tito's obviously one of them 12. Not only are they arrogant and annoying, but since the showcase, they have been nothing but irritating. It then goes on to suggest that if the petition was unsuccessful, then PlayStation fans should protest outside stores on launch day. It even puts forward a plan to contact political representatives, although I'm not sure to what end. It's so daft that it has to be a troll, right? Well, I'm going on a run with the idea that it is, because PlayStation, because there's no way anyone will be spending Starfield's launch day trying to get in touch with local politicians. I hope not anyway. Hilariously, some people have signed the petition just to dunk on it in the comments, knowing that their signature doesn't really mean anything. I mean, not only is it too late for any kind of console exclusivity to change, but there also just isn't a magic number that will have hit Bethesda not to be owned by Xbox anymore. So just kick back, relax, and enjoy the console war bickering. So it has been confirmed that Tito is the one that set this petition up, and he's obviously just trying his best to be able to dunk on PlayStation. That is what I'm taking from this. Tito is one of 12. He is the one that created this protest, or this petition, shall we say. Like, it has to be a troll. There is no way on God's green earth that someone is that enraged that the fact that Starfield is a console. I mean, there will be people out there. Let's not forget, there will be people out there that are absolutely mortified, that are crying, that are on Twitter every single day, tweeting every single minute, every single second, every single hour, the fact that they won't be able to play this game. And it's, in the greatest sense, tough titties. Like, so I don't want to say so what, because Starfield looks amazing. If I only had the PlayStation available to be able to play it and I didn't, I can't really do much about that. It is a crying shame, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, there's people haven't been able to play Spider-Man over on over on Xbox consoles, and I imagine that is probably more annoying than what Starfield's going to be for a lot of people, especially proper Spider-Nuts. But then again, something like Spider-Man probably would entice people to buy new consoles or buy a PlayStation, as does this with an Xbox. If you're obviously being able to play this on PC, if you have a PC capable of being able to run it, then your quid's in, essentially. But Dave says they also use Xbox PlayStation controllers on the Battlefield control drones and remote cameras because they are easy to understand interfaces for beginners. That doesn't surprise me either. That definitely doesn't surprise me. Is this guy talking about Tito where me and Jay obviously have the same brain cell? No comment, my lord, says Tito. Tito, I plead the fifth. So yeah, it's now been confirmed. It is Tito that's created this petition for Starfield to just be a PlayStation exclusive. I can't wait to be able to play this game. I can't wait for other people to play this game so I can watch them play it and enjoy it too, because I do feel like this is definitely going to be one of the defining games of a generation. It's going to be clunky on launch. It's like most games, it's going to live and die by its launch. So hopefully it's at least 80%, 85% playable, and they can tweak all the rest of the other stuff. Just make the main crux of the game playable, and then everything else will fall back into place later on. Because obviously releasing 100% completed games at this moment in time isn't a thing anymore, right? There has to be a day one patch somewhere. So if we can get like 80 to 85% of the game working, not like Cyberpunk's 35% or not playable at all on older platforms, then I'm fairly certain we're going to be in a very, very good space when this ends up coming out. Yeah, even the melee looks interesting with differing gravity. I mean, yeah, it's based in space, so I can't wait to feel what the weighted elements are like. Is it going to feel like Halo, where you're a little bit floaty, or what? Like how are we going to be playing this game? Like, what is the defining mechanics of this? because I feel like that, again, is going to be where we're living and dying by this. So I'm excited to see more of it. I'm excited to see more, as I'm guessing you guys are too. So moving on to our third news article of the day. I've just seen that Tito's just been firing messages at me. Okay, so he's showing me how to potentially get Xbox One again. A fantastic, nice one, mate. I will try that as soon as this podcast has finished. So, written on VGC then by Tom Ivan, our second news article from him today. Electronic Arts is restructuring its studios into two organizations. Before I even get into this, I'm fairly certain you guys know where we're going with this one. But anyway, Electronic Arts has announced it's restructuring its studios into two organizations, EA Entertainment and, of course, EA Sports. The former, which houses big publishers-owned IP and licensed games, will be headed by Laura Melee? We'll go with Melee. Laura Melee, who has been appointed a president of EA Entertainment Technology and Central Development. Respawn co-founder Vince Zampella will lead the EA studios responsible for Apex Legends and Star Wars plus Battlefield games too. Samantha Ryan will run the Division lifestyle franchises and blockbuster single-player titles, while Jeff Carp will remain in charge of all mobile game businesses. EA Sports will continue to be headed up by Cam Webber, who has been appointed president of the organisation responsible for the company's sports and racing sims. EA CEO Andrew Wilson announced the restructuring plans in a message shared with company employees on Tuesday. This evolution of our company continues to empower our studio leaders with more creative ownership and financial accountability to make faster and more insightful decisions around development and will go to marketing strategies, he said. These steps will accelerate our business, drive and growth and deliver long-term value for our people, our players, and also our communities. Wilson also confirmed that Chris Bruzzo is leaving his position as Chief Experiences Officer, a role which will be taken on by former Chief Marketing Officer David Tinson. Our Chief Financial Officer Chris Sir has chosen to leave the company. He will be replaced by Stuart Canfield, who were previously Senior Vice President of Finance. EA announced in March that it is planned to cut 6% of its workforce as part of a restructuring plan that will result in a company incurring up to $200 million in charges. These consist of approximately $65 million to $70 million in charges related to intellectual property impairment, approximately $55 million to $65 million related to employee severance and employee-related costs, approximately $45 million to $55 million associated with office space reductions, and approximately $5 million to $10 million of overcharges, including contract cancellations. So essentially with this, if you're looking at this from the top down, you have all of your sports games in one sector, all of your battle royale, first-person shooters, massive single-player experiences in another, and then obviously mobile games in a completely different department. That makes perfect sense to me, as I imagine you guys would as well. If you have any kind of history in dealing with companies or finances and stuff like that, especially like if you work in marketing, for instance, you will get allocated at the beginning of the financial year a pot of money for you to be able to spend how you seem fit, whether or not it be on PPC campaigns, whether or not it be you, especially in the video games world where you're wanting influencers to come in. So obviously you have to pay them for their time and their content and things like that. And the money moves away quite fast. However, if you're working for someone like EA and you have all of these different branches internally and you have all of this stuff filtering down, sometimes it can take a hell of a long time to be able to try and get things signed off. You have to go through a million different channels. Obviously, this has now been created to streamline these processes and be able to move forward extremely quickly. Like, here's your money, here's your game, go and get everything that you need for it. That's as simple as I could potentially make it without boring you for the next hour or so, going into different elements of how this can be financially great for a particular game or how it could severely impact a completely different title. But although it seems like they're putting the right people in the right places, obviously people have moved on to pastures new. They've managed to take people from different areas of the business that may have been thriving in some areas and think, okay, you are better suited to be in here because this person's left, or this person might have been struggling with working on 3 or 4 titles. We think you're very good at multitasking, so can you look after them? This is very good news for EA and EA Sports now as well. So hopefully we get to reap the benefits of this in the next couple of years or so. I'm a very optimistic person. I don't know whether or not you guys have worked this out yet. I'm a very positive, optimistic person. I don't tend to dwell on all the negative stuff. I just look at it, or try to look at it from the outside and think, okay, they're making some form of difference within there. Hopefully we'll be able to see the benefit of that later down the line. And I feel like this is definitely one of these instances. They've managed to obviously spend a lot of money on severances and contract cancellations or people moving on and loyalty bonuses and all of that other stuff that goes on there. They would not be spending this money if they didn't think they'll be making just as much back. So hopefully that then will filter down to us, and then we end up getting better experiences on all of the EA games, because let's be honest, regardless of what you think of FIFA and what you think of the current Star Wars games and stuff like that, a lot of the games that are in your current rotation are probably EA games. Am I right? Or have been for the last 20 years or so. Obviously, we lost EA big way back when. So the likes of FIFA Street games, obviously Volta getting moved into FIFA, and then SSX games and things like that. We don't tend to get them as frequently as we used to, which is a shame. I'd wish they'd bring back EA big. But yeah, I feel like this is definitely a move in the right direction for EA Sports and all of the other branches that are underneath it as well. EA Sports, we're in your wallet, says Tito. Jay says EA Sports, give us your money. Tito says each planet has a different gravity. So that's something to look forward to in Starfield. Exclamation mark, shocked for Tito's dropping in there. I'm guessing that's to do with my positivity. But anyway, on some news that you guys probably would have already picked up by now, as this showcase is taking part tonight. Written on Eurogamer by Ed Nightingale, he says that Nintendo Direct is set for tomorrow, 21st of June. Obviously, this was written yesterday, way after the fact. So, Nintendo have announced its Direct showcase will be just a live stream tomorrow, the 21st at 3 p.m. UK time. The Direct promises 40 minutes, focused mainly on Nintendo Switch titles launching this year, including new details of Pikmin 4. Watch the Nintendo Direct website or on the YouTube channel. So, what can we expect? After all, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has been released, and besides, Pikmin 4, the Switch slate is looking pretty sparse for the rest of 2023. But isn't that what makes this Direct exciting? Perhaps we could even get some Zelda DLC. For Pikmin 4, we'll hopefully see some more of its character creation, its multiplayer options, and also its fidget spinner. We'll most likely get a look at Everybody 1-2 Switch. I really want to say Everybody's Golf then, even though it's nowhere in this article. But Everybody 1-2 Switch, the follow-up to the Switch launch game, and its host, MC Horace. I'm not familiar with their work. But anyway, what else could we see? A new Mario game to follow up the success of the film. I, for one, would welcome a new colourful Mario world to jump through, but narrated by the existing Luma. We could also get some retro games added to Switch Online, which is probably the most likely thing. Super Mario RPG, I'm looking at you. Or I'm praying Metroid Prime 4. What are you hoping to see? So, if my calendar is clear this afternoon and I have no meetings, I may well look to stream this. I need to find out whether or not we can stream this, because Nintendo don't usually like us to do that. I don't really want to get in a situation where it's just my face on the screen and we're talking about it. I hate those kind of things. So maybe, if we can restream this, we'll look to do that at 3 p.m. today, if obviously my calendar is looking a little bit clearer. But yeah, Nintendo Direct, 3 p.m. What are you guys looking forward to potentially seeing during that showcase? I'm going in with no expectations at this moment in time. I do believe that there probably will be mostly around some form of Nintendo Online service that they're going to be promoting, whether or not it be for Sega Mega Drive Collection or add new games added to the N64 collection or something like that. I don't think we're going to be getting any GameCube stuff, so don't worry about that. They're definitely making a bigger song and dance if that was the case, but I don't know. Yeah, I genuinely going into this with zero expectations as to what we could potentially see. So it could be a banger, it could be quite low-key. It might be a low-key affair, essentially. Nintendo announcing Pokemon coming to PlayStation. Yeah, no. However, Palworld, if you've for you guys that may not have seen us cover that game, that definitely looks like a game that you guys might be looking forward to in terms of what a Pokemon game with guns can potentially look like. Who knows? But that, ladies and gentlemen, is today's episode of The Scoop. 4 news articles coming at you live over on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. We go live each and every single day at 10 p.m. ish. We didn't go live yesterday, but we will be live again tomorrow from the ICU studios. At this moment in time, my calendar is looking extremely clear, so hopefully we'll be live around 10 a.m. But do stick around, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to send you over to one of our friends who is currently playing. I'm having a look through now. Does anyone want to use Guide the Raid? We've got quite a lot of our friends streaming, so I'll tell you what, we'll go with Gact is streaming PUBG. You haven't seen any PUBG action on this channel for well over 10 days now, so we'll go over to Gact. He's currently playing through that. But if you want to help shape tomorrow's show, there's 2 ways that you can do so. First of all, find us on social media. This is at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or alternatively, get involved with our Discord. If you are listening or watching this on any of our on-demand services, go into the description below. All the links that you require will be listed there, but all we need from you is a URL plus your thoughts and opinions. We will then give you our thoughts and opinions on the very next show, which will be live from the RCU studios around about 10 a.m. tomorrow. The weather is starting to cool down over here in Manchester. Not quite cool enough where I'm not using a fan, but I hope that you guys are all nice and refreshed, nice and cool, and I do hope that you'll have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, there's one thing that we want you to do, my friends, and that is to stay frosty.